Hi, this is Andrzej. This is a very good time to buy a motorcycle. At the end of the season, I go on a raid around the showrooms and look for what's interesting there. This time, a BMW. I have a surprise for you. Number one YouTuber, BMW Motorrad Polska, Tomasz Filipczuk.
There is no more.
You too? Well, exactly. I'm also number one among motorcycle magazines.
Only one magazine.
Perfect. Tomek asked me what we're going to do here. I still don't know. I'm walking around the showrooms, wandering about, looking for deals. A deal for you, sir. And look, pay attention to what happened. Every motorcycle here has an amazing offer. You're a representative of BMW Motorrad Polska, and you don't even know what that offer is. Because...
It's amazing.
Exactly. Yeah. And I found out, listen, that there's no such thing as some official clearance sales or model discounts and things like that. It's more of an individual thing at each dealer, so you have to go to the dealer, look at the motorcycles and start talking to them, right?
Yes and no. On the one hand, it is an individual matter for the dealer, and it's true that certain offers may differ. A dealer can always add something extra to, let's call it, the offer that comes directly from the importer. So yes, but on the other hand, no, because there are at least two major offers that we have at the end of the season.
So to sum up, the offers at BMW are constantly changing, so you need to come to the showroom and find out what's actually available right now. Because there are all sorts of leasing options. There was 101, now it's 104, it's 104, it used to be 101.
Yes, this is one of those first offers that remain unchanged, meaning for stock motorcycles that are currently at dealers or in the warehouse, we have a promotional leasing rate of 104%. What the dealer might add on top of that is a separate matter. And the second promotion, which as of now is currently a permanent promotion, a permanent offer that is ongoing, is the price guarantee plus. This means that we have the opportunity to go to the dealer at any time by the end of the year and place an order for a motorcycle that will be for the 2026 season, coming directly from the 2026 production run, brand new, never ridden by anyone, and completely tailored and customized specifically to us and our preferences. We have a price guarantee, which means we secure ourselves in 2025 so that the price in 2026 won't change. And the plus at the end of this offer is nothing other than free oil inspections for 3 years or 30,000 kilometers, which means in fact we get 4 oil inspections, the first break-in service and then 1 each year. Basically, you could say we're adding something that has a certain monetary value. For the smallest equipment, this will be about 1,500 Polish zloty.
The value.
The value. And for the bigger ones, let's call them the flagship models, like the R1300 GS or R1300 GS Adventure, it's over 3,000 Polish zloty.
Okay. From my perspective, what interests me the most is something new. Namely that this year, when you come to the showroom, you can buy a motorcycle from the next model year. So it's kind of the opposite, you know, because normally when you come to the showroom at the end of the year, it's the end of year clearance sale. But here, no, here, it's selling the future. And some of these motorcycles are already here. Did you know that right behind you is the 2026 M1000 XR?
When it comes to colors, yes.
When it comes to colors, yes. Production year 2025, but model year 2026.
It's never happened before that someone produced something in the future, but yes. Production year 2025, but in terms of model and color, it's 2026.
Tomek, let's talk about motorcycles. So what's currently available at BMW? Because let's be honest, GS, 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 obviously the beloved GS, especially for BMW Motorrad, WL Comforio, my friend. But there are bikes that people might not always know about because, you know, a motorcycle comes out, it's talked about for a year or two, and then things go quiet for a bit. And here we are standing next to one, we're standing by the K1300 GTL, right? Which one is the GTA?
Or even the Grand America, because if you have the B, that's the Bagger, and if there's also a rear top case, then it's the Grand America. And here is such a badge. The GTL is more square, while this one is more streamlined in the American style. And
you see, and it's very good that you learned that. That's how I learned it. In the ideal video, you learned what I was. I can talk about the M1000RR, which we'll get to in a moment. So the GTL also evolves, I understand, year by year. Can you buy a GTL? And if so, what does that look like? Yes?
Yes, yes, because we have 4 motorcycles from the K1600 family.
6 cylinders.
Yes.
1600 cc.
So you have the GTK? Thanks. Where there are 2 standard panniers, it's more for, let's say, alpine passes and that sort of thing. GTL is full touring. And then you have the Bagger in a more American style with that sloping rear line. And the Grand America, which is the Bagger plus a top case.
And speakers.
That's right.
And everywhere. And now some useless knowledge which you might know about. You may have heard, or maybe you don't know, that there was an idea for BMW to compete in King of the Baggers in the US. Have you heard about that idea?
Something
about it being the R18, but everyone, well, the R18, well, the geometry of the frame, that's not quite it. So maybe give them that one. The K1600 is a bagger, but they said, no, because from that 1600, if you really tuned it up, I don't know, damn, if you really worked on it, you could probably get 250 horsepower out of it. Yeah.
If it already has 160 Newton meters as standard, which is a really significant amount, just tweak that engine a bit, and it would really reach some huge numbers.
Yeah, but it's an amazing machine, especially when it comes to the acoustic experience, right?
Smoothness, linearity, and the acoustics are top-notch. AirTag.
Dear Barua, let's talk about Barilla while looking at AirTag. He drives...
Even now?
Enough about motorcycles, let's talk about barrel. This Bariwa is cool. Bariwa loves AirTag because it is old. He doesn't like to drive very fast. And with this one, maybe, because he feels safe when driving fast. Then
third time, okay.
And third time, okay. Because let's be honest, the AirTag is probably the most inconspicuous motorcycle in your lineup. I'm just guessing. Name me a more inconspicuous, very fast motorcycle you have.
Depending on what being inconspicuous means to whom, but there is some truth in what you're saying, because when you mention the 1300, the R1300, the first thing that comes to everyone's mind is the GS or the GS Adventure. The AirTag probably a bit less so. Another question is whether everyone always needs a GS, because of course this...
The versatility that you can go off-road or do a little bit of shooting or something like that, well, you can probably also ride those last 50 meters to the hotel if the path is covered with some gravel. Exactly, so I haven't ridden this motorcycle much yet. I'm still a bit afraid to ride it because I'm not as confident. As someone like Bariwa, I just keep thinking that I'm still young. He has clearly come to terms with it. Okay. He already knows that he wants to be comfortable and so on with the heated seat, the music playing and all that. I always say that Bariwa is one step ahead of me. In everything. And that's a fact. You could literally make a chart about it. That Bariwa is always one step ahead of me. Tomek. How much does it cost to buy an M1000RR? Let's talk specifics.
Because the gentlemen are sitting over there, they'll whip up a nice offer for you in a moment.
How much does this motorcycle cost at base price? 200,000? No.
198.
198? So we're not crossing into the 200 range yet. Bargain.
There's no way it's going to have a 2 at the front.
Exactly. So here we have a motorcycle for 198,000. Here's the thing. I'm afraid to buy a motorcycle like this only because I know how to ride it and I know how many tires it would go through under me. For me, riding a motorcycle like this, if you know how to ride it, is just insane because it's the fastest road machine I've ever ridden.
But we've already established that you're a top YouTuber, so considering your impressive online presence and influence, you could absolutely manage to get some sponsorship deals, right?
For tires? What do you know about life? I pay for my tires myself. Really? Yes. That's just messed up. That's exactly the only thing stopping me from giving you a big smile and just having an M1000RR in my garage, because for me that would just be asking for trouble, since I would absolutely push that bike to the limit, you know. From every angle, and in the end, we all know what happens when you push a motorcycle hard. It stops looking so nice. So honestly, I recommend the M1000RR to everyone as a bike for daily calm riding and the occasional track day. Then it won't be screaming for more.
That's for sure.
You can set the traction control so that your tires don't get shredded. You're kind of an example of that because you ride the M1000XR, right? For
the last 2 years.
How many tires have you gone through?
Not many, honestly. I didn't do a lot of kilometers, but to be fair, I rode the whole season on a single set.
And not many people know this. I don't know how it works with BMW insurance, but this is a bit off topic. There are insurance companies in Poland that don't exclude riding a motorcycle on a track as long as it's not a training session. So you go to a track day, which is a training session, not a race. You're riding your motorcycle, something happens, you slide out, scratch your fairings, and it's not a problem because you were training, not racing. And the insurance comprehensive auto covers it. I don't know how it works with BMW since you have your own rules there, but this is, you know, a pro tip. It's worth reading all those regulations because it might turn out that track riding, because people come who want to ride on the track and say, no, I'm afraid I'll damage my motorcycle.
That's true. And about what you said, that we have our own, because every brand has its own financing or insurance. You can always change things around and adjust the sliders, either add what you want to include or remove what you don't want and subtract it from the offer.
Yes.
Customize it for yourself.
Don't be afraid to take new motorcycles to the track, because with new bikes, you know this from your own experience since you don't have a lot of track experience, but you've been a few times. With a new motorcycle, good tires, equipment like cornering ABS, traction control, you really have to do something crazy to crash.
Something really crazy? You really have to do something wild.
If you have some common sense and know where you are on the track, then really don't be afraid to ride new motorcycles. The M1000XR, your favorite, not really mine because I was talking about it today. And honestly, here's what I think. Maybe at the end of this series, I'll buy a touring motorcycle. Seriously. Because I don't have one yet. And
it's needed?
You need to have a touring motorcycle, because I recently went on a touring trip and I have to say it was actually pretty nice. Cool. The M1000XR is an amazing machine. It's super fun for me every time I ride it. But for example, personally, I prefer the GS because of the 2 cylinders. But for instance, since you can choose any motorcycle from your lineup as your company vehicle for the season, right? So you've already taken it twice for the road, right? The M1000XR.
Yes, but not 3 times in a row, because I like to switch it up and do things a little differently each time.
Right? What do you take?
The M1000R.
But that's 4 cylinders again.
I haven't done many kilometers touring. Those were just rides around the neighborhood plus trips to the track, so I figured
that windscreen and all that isn't really necessary?
I'll just sit lower and have a great time riding on the track.
Nice. An amazing motorcycle in a really interesting color. Is it the same as on the cars? Green?
This one isn't actually from the car range, but there are already BMW models that have a color palette straight from the cars. For example, this one is Brooklyn Gray from the automotive palette.
I'm looking at it and wondering if by any chance the M1000XR doesn't have more carbon than the M1000RR. If you were to count the centimeters of carbon or grams of carbon...
Let's take it off and check.
Yeah, we should. And tell me, what's the deal with all this carbon? Because BMW really goes all out when it comes to carbon components, wheels, parts, but also footrests, things like that. Basically everything CNC milled. Accessories are one thing, but whenever I look at, for example, those footrests and rims, you know, you've had them available for a long time. They're available and they're really, really, really beautiful. And do you know the story who makes them? Is it done at the factory or where is it? How does it work?
To be honest, I don't know where the individual parts like the carbon elements or the CNC-made jewelry are produced, but yes, especially with the top-tier equipment, we're really pushing forward. These materials are, let's say, lightweight and at the same time very beautiful. They reduce the weight. A carbon rim alone does a tremendous job when it comes to shedding kilos, that's one thing. And secondly, when it comes to rotating mass, it's easier to steer and makes for a great ride.
It's surprising we don't have the S1000RR here, but I'll talk about the M1000RR, and I think this also applies to the S1000XR and M1000XR. Carbon wheels are excellent. You can really feel the difference when switching wheels because I've swapped them on these bikes and it's noticeable. But there's also a middle option, which I think is the most logical, namely forged wheels.
Yes.
Because with carbon wheels, it's all cool, but then you go to a tire shop. Let's say you got a flat or something, and you don't have an authorized service center nearby. You need it done quickly. You're at the track. You bring in this carbon rim, and they're like, no, sir, I'm afraid to touch that.
It happens. Yes, it happens.
That's why a forged wheel
is optimal. For example, if you often drive on the track and you're not sure about the tire shop's skills, you know that a forged wheel will never get ruined. It won't get scratched, and even if it does, it won't be noticeable. With carbon, it's a shame.
Wheels, getting back to them. I'm shocked because here we have the R12S. Is that what it's called?
R12S.
S. And look at this. These rims are beautiful. They remind me of that custom brand Kineo. And it seems like it's the same rim in the R12. What's it called?
R12. R12.
An R12?
This particular one is the R12. I had
a friend, Emil Krzysztoń, whose nickname was Emil Krzysztoń. Emil Krzysztoń. I'm surprised that the motorcycles, which are different models, this one is more heritage, naked, a regular motorcycle. This one is more of a little cruiser.
Both are from the heritage family. This is the standard R12, meaning it's just R12 and nothing after the 12. This one is called the R12S. And essentially, it's based on the R1290 model, but it's the S version because it strongly references the R90 model.
Yes. It's about the fact that one of the first motorcycles even had a fairing.
You could say that for those times it was a super sporty bike.
Yes, and that's exactly what catches our attention, that it's a shock. How many elements are there? Because let's be honest, for the sake of simplicity, everyone would probably just grab the same rim, just paint it differently and put it on. But these are completely different constructions, right?
Yes.
This one's spoked, that one's spoked, but it's a completely different concept. Let's move on to the workhorses of the entire touring motorcycle world, because even the GS, you can't even say that the GS is your #1 motorcycle, but for how many years now? Oh, for how many years has it been the best-selling large motorcycle in the world?
Always.
Exactly, for as long as I can remember too. Ever since McGregor went with Charles since then, and that was a long time ago.
Yes.
That was a very long time ago. And now you can finally hold me accountable for that material I never published.
I remember, and I was thinking about it today.
I was thinking about it today too. Listen, if you'd like to see in detail how I set up my GS, just write AJ in the comments and then we'll publish that material for you, because honestly it's really long. I spent about half an hour or maybe even 45 minutes with Robert configuring my dream GS, and I truly think it's a fantastic GS. But the sheer number of options between the GS Adventure, and then customizing it within your own system, this package, that package, man, from your perspective, what's the best way to handle all of that?
I mean, first of all, the most important thing is that BMW has this particularity that basically all the motorcycles in the lineup, the whole portfolio, look similar when it comes to configuration. So, okay, if we have a stock motorcycle because we're in a hurry and want to buy it, then we just go in and take what's available.
That's probably when it's easiest to negotiate the price.
That's not for...
It's just me.
But here, gentlemen, the whole production specificity, and by the way, the brand's DNA is based on the fact that we can configure every motorcycle from scratch. So we have a base, we sit down in front of the configurator, and it doesn't matter whether it's a GS, an RT, or a smaller bike with a smaller engine capacity, etc. Each one has packages, each one has options, each one has accessories. It's not a situation where you just pick a color and then have the dealer install an alarm or add heated grips. No, here you can configure your motorcycle from scratch exactly how you want it so that it's truly tailor-made.
And it's exactly this kind of optimization, like it's worth getting because this package includes this, this, and that. And from what I've noticed, you really have to sit down with the salesperson and dedicate some time to it. But in my opinion, it would be worth watching the material I made, because it shows the whole process so that you already know what to click on your website yourself, and you come in with a bit of a base for a face-to-face consultation.
Yes, of course, we can sit comfortably at home, open the configurator, and even save a ready-made configuration. Then with that configuration, whether it's a link, a printout, or anything else, we can go to the dealer and say, this is the one. And that would be the end of it. Although it's always advisable to talk to an advisor, because sometimes we think we need something, but it might not actually be the case.
What I want to point out now, and it's very important, is that this lamp is not very original or very unique. It feels strange to the touch. Have you ever touched or mounted this lamp?
I have once.
But it's like it goes here and suddenly it sinks in, and then here again?
Yeah.
It's not some ordinary thing. Yeah. It's kind of... Which motorcycle do you think is missing here, your favorite one? Listen, can you tell me how many models BMW has in its lineup? Around 40. It's hard to find a motorcycle showroom big enough to have all of them just standing there, right?
Yes, it's very difficult. Of course, every showroom is divided into an exhibition area and areas strictly for vehicles for testing, and they don't always match up, meaning what's on the expo floor isn't always available for test rides and vice versa.
The M1000R, you were right, that's a motorcycle we could talk about now if it were standing in front of us, but that's just the tip of the iceberg squared. But as I remember from my own tests, the S1000R was completely sufficient for me, and I actually enjoyed it more personally because I don't need to ride that outrageously fast.
But some people like me have the mentality of a 15-year-old and need it dark, black, carbon, and more rather than less.
Fantastic. And tell me one last thing. Is it just me, or did you used to have a used motorcycles section on your BMW Motorrad website?
It's still there.
It's still there. Because when I'm looking for a good deal, especially at the end of the season when I go around, I'm like, okay, well, new motorcycles are one thing, but demo bikes, the used ones, at least from my own personal point of view, are absolutely the best deals that you can possibly get, right?
Yeah, you could say that. Besides those two offers I mentioned earlier, that is the 104% leasing and the price guarantee. The end of the year is the time when both we, as the importer, and the dealer sell off their demo motorcycles. These are bikes that have very low mileage over the season. And it's not like the old days when motorcycles were thrashed and came back dirty. People testing them are much more aware now, and these bikes are fully valuable. And let's be honest, they're cheaper than the ones that are brand new with 0 kilometers.
And they're broken in? They are.
Broken in, first service.
After the first service, and we all know that if you don't have time to ride your motorcycle, the biggest challenge is getting that first service done so you can immediately open up the throttle fully.
Yes, but we're also here to help with that, to come to the rescue. At the end of the year, as is customary, so let's say the last quarter and the first quarter of the new year, every year there's a winter campaign at BMW Motorrad service centers and showrooms in general. So if you already own a BMW motorcycle, and it's hard for you to bring it in because you don't have the time, we offer a door-to-door service, for example, meaning the dealer. You arrange an appointment with the dealer comes to you with a van, whether it's your home, your workplace, or wherever you've left your bike, and picks it up. They service it and return it wherever you want.
You just tell them where to bring it back, and you know, when the first rays of sunshine appear, the first warm day in March, for example, your motorcycle is already serviced, you just hop on and ride. Check the tires to see if they're inflated, because after winter, the air tends to go down in every motorcycle. Yeah, people don't know that. But if you get on your motorcycle in the spring, or actually if you get on it now and it feels a bit weird to ride, you can either check the tire pressure or just go to a BMW dealership and buy yourself a new one. Why not?
Yeah, why not?
The wicked M1000RR. The worst part is that the S1000RR is already good enough, but then you get on the M1000RR and it's just...
I'll get you a contact for tires.
Thanks.
No problem.
That's already a lot.